giving you a voice,
making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
InspireNC CAD Challenge Pirates Plunder broadcast on First Updates Now. From InspireNC, I'm Akshat, and our producer is the editor-in-chief of Fun, Tyler Olds. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had a great time reviewing and giving our feedback to the wonderful submissions we received from our teams. We're really excited to show y'all the wonderful robots y'all submitted. So, before we get started, just a brief introduction of who we are. InspireNC is a student-run nonprofit organization from Cary, North Carolina, and our goal is to promote STEM education to the community. We also run our very own FIRST teams, FRC 6908 Infused and FTC 16967 Insight. Back in March and July, we decided we wanted a way to get students working together and building their skills even when stuck inside. So with the help of members from FRC 6908 and FRC 900, the Zebracorns, we ran our first and second CAD challenges with a handful of teams from North Carolina, and in July, we did even more. This time around, we wanted to make it even bigger and also a bit better, so we reached out to as much of the FIRST community as we can, as well as sponsors like Rev and Andy Markin from the community. And on that note, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors and supporters who made this event possible. We have Andy Mark, who's provided our giveaways, Dassault Systems, who gave us SolidWorks licenses to give to all participants, Rev Robotics, who provided all our prizes, Fun, for actually allowing us to run this entire event, and FRC 900, the Zebracorns, and FRC Infused for letting us organize this event. Now, with that, let's quickly introduce our game, Pirates Plunder. This game has two main game pieces, the treasure, which is a small 3-inch by 3-inch cube made of foam, and the treasure chest, which are milk crates that hold treasure. Pretty similar to the game piece from FRC 2018 Power Up, if you played in that one. Teams must work to score treasure from the treasure chest into the decks at the center of the field. For our CAD challenge, Pirates Plunder, teams had the choice of competing in two divisions of competition, the Full Robot Challenge and the Mechanism Challenge. For the Full Robot Challenge, teams had 7 days to completely design and CAD a robot to meet the challenges of the game Pirates Plunder. For those who wanted a shorter but just as challenging format, we offered the Mechanism Challenge, which teams had 3 days to CAD a specific mechanism for a robot that was provided by our GDC. Adding to the fresh new challenges, we're also taking a new approach to our show tonight. Instead of just running through the ranking of the teams, we've also got our very own judges here to give us our thoughts on their submissions. We've also got a few of our competitors who will be joining us on stream today to talk about the robots as well. So make sure y'all stay tuned in for our show tonight because we've got really great robots coming right up. But before we get to the robots, let's introduce our judges. With us today, we have Vincent from FTC 15534 and Nick from FRC 2220 and FTC 9205. We have a lot of great robots, so let's just jump right into judging. So I'll start it off with team 13076 Argonauts and their FTC mechanism submission. So the entire concept of the FTC mechanism challenge is that you have to take treasure chests and stack them within the scoring zone, which is a small triangle in the corner of the field. So what the Argonauts did, they made a really simple mechanism that they used on their also full robot. And what it did, it had a lot of COTS parts that made it very easy to assemble. And there was a servo right in the center that lets them retract it and extend it in order to grab the crate and let it go. Also, they had a very robust construction in order to stand up to all the stresses involved in FTC over all of the matches that are there. With that, we can also go to our winner for the FTC Mechanism Challenge, and that's 1469, Circular Dependency Detected. They have a really robust 6-bar design, which is more stable and taller than a standard 4-bar, and they have a lot of great mounting points for rigidity, right? So they have they mounted onto the center bar in our chassis. So we provided a chassis there. You can see most of it. There's like an elevator on the back and that little box right there. And they were actually able to mount to the center bar right there, which gave them a lot of stability. And it was really fast and effective for stacking crates, which was the main objective, right? And what they also did with their 6-bar mechanism, they could reach very high because with a 4-bar, you can reach a bit. But then a 6-bar is pretty much combining 2 4-bars into one thing that will let them reach even higher than before. And also at the same time, they're keeping the crate perfectly level so they can easily stack it. So yeah, great job to team 1469, circular dependency detected. This was an excellent robot that could easily be put onto any, like cheesecake onto any robot, and it's perfect for the FTC mechanism challenge. So before we get started into the full robot submissions, we would like to start our first giveaway of the night. We will be giving away a $25 Andy Mark gift card. Special thank you to Andy Mark for the prizes. This giveaway will be drawn right after the end of the FTC stream. Here's Tyler to explain the terms of this giveaway.
Yeah, so easy enough. If you're familiar with fun giveaways, the keyword is going to be Pirates Plunder. Type that in the chat right now for your opportunity to win the Andy Mark gift certificate. Don't forget, you do need to be following the Fun channel in order to be eligible to win on this. So once again, type Pirates Plunder anytime until we draw. That gets you in. Good luck, everybody, and can't wait to see some more fantastic machines.
All right. With that, let's get to our FTC full robot division robots. So these were completely full robots, unlike the mechanism ones. They didn't get a base robot or anything. They had to design the entire thing by scratch. So our first robot is team 76961 CAD site, and their robot EIR, or Efficient Intake Robot. This robot main principle was trying to be as efficient as it can to intake all the treasure chests, the treasure, and all of that, and simply put into the deck. So they had a lot of COTS parts and were very easy to assemble, and were also really robust in their design. If you see it right in the front, there's this entire polycarb intake. This is actually perfect for bringing in treasure, and then they would flip across in order to dump it into the deck. Also, if you see the little hook at the top of the robot, what they would do, they would pivot this down to grab the crate, and then they would use the elevator that everything's mounted on in order to actually stack them together. This was a pretty good robot. There was a couple of flaws in terms of how efficient it would be, how fast it would be on the field, and all of that. There was some robustness flaws also with like the back part of the chassis is a bit weak there, but still very good robot. A couple other comments are that it has a really nice technical binder. So in this challenge, in this November challenge, our main goal was to have teams present a really nice technical binder in order to kind of portray the robot in a greater light. That's something that we actually saw like lacking in previous CAD challenges that we've done, is that we would just get this one sheet where teams didn't really outline what their strategy was, how manufacturable their robot was, and all that stuff. So one main focus we had in this CAD challenge was to actually ask for really detailed technical binders that look good as well. So you might have seen, obviously 254 is like a great example for a good technical binder, but there's lots of other ones in the FRC community. And we wanted to make sure that all teams in our CAD challenge practice those methods and have really nice renders, have really good strategy, and all of those things in their technical binder. So that was one thing that really came out in their design, which we love to see. Next, we have team 13076 Argonauts. So you might have heard this name or number before, and that's because they did the FTC mechanism challenge as well. And theirs was also a pretty simple robot, which actually used the exact same mechanism that they designed previously. So what this would do, it has a really like efficient and also 3D printed little box at the bottom that can intake all the treasure, as well as on the back, they have this crate lifter, right? So what they had is they almost had two different elevators that would go up together, and they're linked together. So then it would both dump treasure and it can do crates on either side of the robot. In a couple places, it could be more robust. And also the fact is that since it reaches so high, it could get tipped over if nudged a bit. So there's a lot of good design decisions here, as well as the aesthetic. But in general, this was a great robot that's efficient and has some flaws, just like the other one as well. So I'm going to hand it off to Nick for team 9681 AAA.
Thank you. So 9681 was a pretty cool little robot, super compact. One of the really exceptional things was that this robot made not only use of some good custom parts that were maybe a little bit difficult to manufacture, but were pretty well used, but made a fantastic use of some of the COTS parts in a a fairly creative way around its chassis, and just really all around the robot. The intake looked really great. They made a wise decision to go for some of the great COTS linear mechanisms that are available, and actually made even a stab at drawing some of the wires on this robot, which is fun to see. Some of that wiring was mildly problematic, such as the length of the wire to their servos on their intake, which was not nearly long enough for when it was extended up all the way. But it was really cool to see somebody exploring wiring in the FTC space, and this was a really fun robot to pick apart. They had a few cool little things about their clamping, whatever their crate bit. They designed some bits of that were very interesting. They had a kind of sliding mechanism around the pokers that went into the crate, which was cool to see somebody thinking about that. Maybe some of the details could have used a little bit more fleshing out, and certainly some of the specifics around the like the bit polycarbonate shielding around the robot could have used a little bit more exploration of sheet metal features, but it was a really fun robot to dissect. But thanks at 9681, it was a lot of fun getting a robot.
Yeah, for sure. I really liked a lot of teams went for almost like a hook mechanism for the crates, but I think they were the actually only team to go for what do you call it, a clamp mechanism in order to actually grab the treasure chest. So that was really interesting. And there was also a lot of 3D printing parts was really cool as well. So yeah, I love
Gotta
this
be careful with the sizing box on those 3D printed parts. If you don't have a 12-inch wide 3D printer, you might not want to print a intake that's 12 inches long.
Yeah, sometimes teams underestimate that, but you can always find that printer. It might be $1,000, but you'll find it anyways. All right. So with that, we're going to move on to the next team. Our second place team, actually, team 1469, Circular Dependency Detected. And we actually have their creator here, Camille, in order to talk about their robot. And so their team name or robot name is Dimension Already Exists. And pretty much it's also like a lot of the other robots we've seen. It tries to do both aspects of the entire game, but it's a really good robot in order to do that. So go ahead, Camille. You can talk about your robot.
Okay, so the main point of, or one of the major just subsystems of the robot is the lift. It has a lot of stages on it. I got to some point in designing and I'm like, how many more stages am I going to get to before they just meet in the middle and I can't add any more? So I have like the most stages I could with the way I set up my drivetrain, but it does allow me to score the boxes at the highest stack of 3 and get the treasure into the and score the treasure as well. And then I did both of those actually with the one intake. So I had a wheeled intake to pick up the max treasure possible of 6 and just hold them until I could spit them back out in the scoring area. And then I also had like little small claws that came around the sides to grab on to the crates and move them where I wanted them to be. And then on the back with the electronics, I also had some smaller versions of the claws to just go up and under and tip over the treasure chests so that we could get more treasure introduced to the field, since I wasn't confident I could do that with my front intake.
Yeah, definitely. I love this robot mainly because a lot of the other robots we've seen is that they would have their treasure intake and chest intake on different sides of the robot. So that was like the main thing. Like you kind of take up the entire robot just for these 2 game pieces. But it's really good to see that you actually did everything all in one, which is really compact. So that was actually like perfect design for that. And yeah, I like that personally too.
Yeah, I had a really I appreciate it because if you looked at some of the other submissions, there was a lot of like, oh, I'm just going to use 2 different elevators for this, but like in FTC, motors are at such a premium. It's expensive to devote a motor to a mechanism, so I appreciated that you were a little bit careful about that. And just there's a lot of fun little detail that I was poking around this CAD model right before the show that are, I don't know if you're releasing it or not, but it's a lot of fun to look at.
Yeah, and I've tried 2 elevators on robots before, and it was a lot. So I definitely wanted to avoid it for this robot.
So another fun little question about this that's maybe a little bit separate is that I know that you had a submission for the FRC submission too. So what changes in how you approach the game for FTC versus an FRC game for this? Are there differences?
Well, in the way I approach it in general, I know I tend to do a lot more sheet metal in FTC design than FRC design, because the FRC team I'm on doesn't do sheet metal. The FTC team I'm on doesn't either, but it also we're only starting to do any custom parts. So I have kind of I'm a little more free when I'm CADing stuff for FTC, just because I don't have a lot of basis of other robots to look back on. But with FRC, I'm definitely a little more locked in on what I do, but it does. But I'm a little more confident in it. But when I was approaching the games, it was definitely really different just because of what we had to do with the treasure. It was different what we had to do with the treasure, which was one of the big differences between the way I went about designing both of the robots.
Hey, just want to jump in. There was a question from chat asking about is there a possibility to partner with 3D industrial 3D printers? Is there any possibility that you could see something like that being used at all?
Huh?
Not sure.
All right, we'll skip that then. No
That is
worries.
cool.
Yeah.
That is interesting
Sorry.
though, yeah.
Yeah, it's a interesting question. I mean, certainly there's been a lot of like big printed FRC, whatever FTC robots. I actually on the shelf behind me have a little miniature model of a FTC robot that was 100% printed.
Oh wow!
Like literally on an 18-inch box printed on a Stratasys. So like, I think you could. It's like anything. You can always find ways to use things. I think and I think you mentioned something there, that I thought was really important, right? Which is designing within what you have access to, and how, since you have experience designing for FRC and have specific things, in some ways it's easier to design for that because you know the the dimensions of that, like not the dimensions, the constraints there. And when you go like full free form on an FTC robot, it can be a lot of fun, but it's also a lot more to explore that. Is there anything that you would have, whatever technology you would have liked to experiment with on that robot, or whatever that you'd like to play with for an FTC robot?
Yeah, we're experimenting with some. Well, with this FTC robot, I think I definitely touched pretty much everything I could think of that we'd normally run to, and I also wanted to keep the manufacturing relatively simple, especially since we got to write about that on our in our tech binders. So that was fun to put together to look at how I'd actually make everything.
Yeah, something we've encountered over like, I think it was last time too. A lot of teams would, like FRC and FTC, it would just be super unreasonable to make some parts, but they're just there and like they assume that, oh yeah, we'll make it somehow. Might have to be like a six-axis CNC, but in the end it'll get made, right? But it's definitely
All
good
right.
to see that teams are thinking about how to make things.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Camille, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Like, it was great to talk with you about the robots, and who
Thank
knows, we
you.
might talk with you a little bit later.
All right, with that, we can move on to the winner. So Camille wasn't actually our winner. It was very close second place. But we can move on to the winner of our FTC full robot, which was Team 21, Titanium 5. So Nick, you want to take it away?
Oh yeah. So there was so much going on with this robot, and it was a blast to judge and to dissect and to look at. We're about to get a picture up there for it, or maybe we already do. You can just see from that picture, there's a lot going on with this robot. And that goes from top to bottom. And to their tech binder. Their tech binder was incredible too. So this was a super robust drive base, custom drive base. Really, really well thought out. You could tell that every bit of this robot was thought about, not just from a what's good for this, like what can I do custom, but how does this integrate and how does this play with all COTS parts, right? Like COTS parts are such a big part of FTC, and this robot just seamlessly blended COTS and custom parts on this robot. So they had a really nice relic recovery style, Skystone style intake, whatever, double wheels on the sides. It actually reminded me a lot of the intake that my team used last year for Skystone. So that was really clever, really nice. And it had a super cool, I think it was trying to remember now. It's either a 6-bar or a scissor lift. I can't remember exactly which one it was. 6-bar. Maybe it's an 8-bar. Really nice carbon fiber custom 3D printed joints for it that integrated everything together. I just loved this robot. And their odometry pods were spring loaded and really just super compact, super clean. I don't know what else to talk about. Like, this was just, it looks beautiful, makes great use of all the motors that they have, makes great use of servos that they have. Like, tiny nitpicks, like their central thing was either a massive 3D printed part or like a beast to mill, like, and it wasn't that far off from being like entirely manufacturable, but it definitely had some gotchas there if you would try to make it. Yeah, we're getting like this intake was just gorgeous. Like, I could talk about this all night, but then Tyler would shut me off. It was, yeah, beautiful robots. Congratulations, 21. I'm sad that you couldn't be on to talk about this robot because I have so many questions I'd love to ask you about your process. Yeah, I think that's about it. All I have to say for these guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually get to judge this robot completely, but just looking at it was kind of, this looks amazing. Like, first of all, just the aesthetics they already look so good, right? But then I started just looking around the CAD and how it works, and I saw carbon fiber. Like, what? Okay. But yeah, this robot, like, it seems super advanced. Like, obviously there are some parts, like I saw, that just they're a bit whack to manufacture, I would say. But in the end, I think it's a really good robot, and it's just almost like world's class in terms of actually like being able to compete in this game that we thought. There's obviously probably is some flaws in this game, but
One of
even then, like,
one thing I'll shout out that Tyler might boo me for. It's purple and gold robot, and I am from Minnesota, so those are Vikings colors, and I appreciate that.
Hey, somebody's got to win with those colors, man. It's all good.
So, yeah, great job, congrats.
all right. I think that's all the robots then. That's the winner, right? So in terms of the actual prizes, we have for the winner of the FTC full robot challenge, we actually have a $50 Rev gift card that they get for doing so well in their robot. And that's it for the prizes. So now let's, what do you call it? We can have Tyler do the actual giveaway part now. So.
Sure, we can draw for the Andy Mark giveaway, and then we're going to be starting the FRC one, so don't go away for that as well too. So the winner of the Andy Mark gift card, and also big thanks to Rev Robotics for sponsoring the team giveaways as well too. But that is going to be I Married My Punk Soldier one. Nice name, but congratulations. Reach out if you don't mind. Shoot First Updates Now, either on here or on Discord, a message with your mailing information or email. I think this will probably be emailed. So we'll get out to you. So congrats. And we got another giveaway for the next show, so don't miss that as well. Real quick shout out at the end of the stream from M. Durrani 808. Just wants me to shout out Dirtman. So we got that shout out near the end. So stick around. We have the FRC one coming up in just a couple minutes, and we'll see you on there if you're watching live. Can't wait to find out these amazing teams coming up on the InspireNC Challenge.
All right, thanks. So yeah, that thanks to Andy Mark, obviously, for providing these giveaways, and thanks to Rev for providing the prizes. And on behalf of myself, everyone here at InspireNC, and our sponsors for helping us put this event together. I'd like to thank all the teams in this FTC part for their amazing CAD challenge creations, and to everyone who has viewed and supported the InspireNC CAD challenge. We'll be sending really in-depth feedback from our judges to all the teams after this show, or in a week or so. We'll get it done. But all the teams will receive really in-depth feedback about their robots in the coming days. So obviously, thanks to Fun and our producer Tyler for their support and promotion of the stream. And for FTC, we'll see you guys in the spring with another CAD challenge, hopefully. And right here with more content from First Updates Now. With that, I'll hand it over to Kevin and our judges for the FRC division. So, thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you want more fun content, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.